I'd like to call this meeting of the Monticello City Council to order. Would you please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? Remain standing as Jerry Dusenberry from Monticello Christian Church leads us in prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we are grateful that we can pause for a few minutes before this meeting begins to pray, to ask you for your presence, for your intervention in such an occasion as this. We know we can because you are interested in the details of our lives. And so we do pray for your grace, your presence tonight. We pray that truth, justice, peace would be the ultimate outcome of any decision made. In Jesus'
name. Amen. Amen. Roll call, please, Jill.
Ms. Vogt?
Here.
Ms. Lively? Mr. Denise?
Here.
Mr. Woodham? Mr. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Burris?
Here.
Mr. Kuhn? Mr. Broderick?
Here.
Mr. Brock?
Here.
And Mr. Pearson?
Here.
Do you have a quorum?
Thank you very much. In-person participation. This is an opportunity for the public to provide public comment to the presiding officer. Those wishing to speak are required to sign in prior to commencement of the meeting and must address council from the seat and table provided. The public comments must comply with Ordinance 2014-02 and be limited to 5 minutes or less. At this time, I'd like to call on Allison Wright. Yes, right there. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Allison Wright, and I have been a resident of Monticello for the past 7 years at 1 Morphy Court, where I live with my husband and my 5-year-old and 2-year-old sons. This year, my family and I sought zoning approval for backyard chickens. Unfortunately, due to the restriction that the hen enclosure must be at least 150 feet from any occupied residence, we were not approved. I am here tonight to propose that the Monticello City Council consider altering the city animal control ordinance to a shorter distance between adjacent properties. I did want to take just a few moments to compare Monticello's current city animal control ordinance to some of our neighboring communities. So in Bement, chickens 25 feet from any neighbor. In Champaign, 20 feet from any neighbor. In Mahomet, chickens must be 20 feet from any adjacent house and 20 feet from the lot line. And that directly compares to Monticello's policy, which is that chickens must be 150 feet from any occupied house and 20 feet from the lot line. I did take some time last week and speak with a staff member at the Monticello City building, and she confirmed that the average lot size in Monticello is 1/8 to 1/4 of an acre in size. So what that means is if a square acre is 208 feet by 208 feet, 1/8 of an acre is really 26 feet by 26 feet, and 1/4 of an acre is 52 feet by 52 feet. And though lots come in all shapes and sizes, what this really does show is that nearly every average or even above average lot size in Monticello would not be approved for chickens at this time due to the 150-foot requirement from any occupied residence. There are many benefits to individuals and families owning chickens in town. One is that chickens are fun, friendly pets with educational value for children about where food like eggs come from. Chickens can provide food security for low-income families. They lay healthier eggs compared to store-bought eggs. They give gardeners high-quality fertilizer. Chickens control flies, ticks, mosquitoes, and other pests and will not add to them. And they can also dispose of weeds and chicken scraps that might otherwise end up in a landfill. People do have common concerns about chickens, specifically the noise and smell. Monticello's current ordinance does not allow roosters, and that seems very reasonable going forward as it matches with many other local ordinances as well. But hens themselves are not noisy. They cluck and peep softly during the day, and then they go to bed at dusk and they remain quiet all night. And as far as the smell, a small flock of 4 to 6 chickens poop as much as the average dog. A coop doesn't smell if it's kept clean, and that's specified in the ordinance as a well-maintained coop. Finally, when Monticello's current chicken ordinance was approved and changed in 2012, it allowed residents who already had chickens to keep their chickens even if they were closer than the 150 feet from any occupied residence. However, that allowance did just expire May 1st, 2023. And so what that means is that many residents in Monticello who have been responsible chicken owners for the past 10 plus years will be forced to give up their chickens based on the current ordinance. I propose that the city animal control ordinance be altered to a distance of 20 to 50 feet to more closely align with the chicken ordinances of our neighboring communities and to allow the residents of Monticello the opportunity to responsibly care for backyard chickens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We are discussing that. I'm going to butcher this name. Mahala Hardy? Magella, okay. I knew I was butchering it. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay.
My name is Magella Hardy, and I wanted to get chickens. And
That's okay.
with the help of my parents, I found the chicken ordinance for Monticello and measured my yard, and it was too small. And I think it would be nice if people who have not gigantic lot sizes to be able to have chickens. Right.
It's okay.
And,
Just relax. We're nice in here.
Yeah, we're
okay.
I was a teacher for a long time. I know how to do that.
And there went the rest of my speech. I forgot it in my head, but I can get it back in like a second.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Got a key word? Go.
Think of the last thing you said. Did you say, was that about your yard wasn't big enough?
Lot size.
Lot size?
That was about lots.
You measured it?
Oh, yes. I looked at other neighboring cities' chicken ordinances, and Monticello really stood out. And I made this chart here, so it's anyone to look at. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good
You're a
job.
brave girl coming up there. You did a nice job.
Is she?
Sure, certainly.
Yeah, who's gonna tell them?
Thank you. Some of us are good visual learners. Okay. Remote participation. This is an opportunity for the public to provide public comment to the presiding officer. The public comments must comply with ordinance 2014-02 and be limited to 5 minutes or less. At this time, members of the public are able to attend public meetings by web conference and to submit public comment by email, voicemail, or through web conference. Is there anyone this evening, Maura? Thank you very much.
I have your.
You have mine? Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Approval of documents and action items is listed. Claims report. Claims dated May 9, 2023 through May 22, 2023. Meeting minutes. City Council meeting minutes, closed session April 24, 2023. City Council meeting minutes March 27, 2023. City Council meeting minutes May 8, 2023. Budget report April 2023. Treasurer's report February 2023. Treasurer's report March 31st, 2023. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments that you'd like to make of staff? What's your time? Hearing or seeing none. Can I have a roll call, please, Jill?
Ms. Boat?
Yes.
Ms. Lively? Mr. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Burris?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
And Mr. Piercy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the mayor's report. Rehearsals for the Monticello Summer Singers begin Thursday, June 8th at 6:30 PM at the Monticello Methodist Church. Some extra brownie points with the mayor can be earned. Please come along and sing with us. 6:30 to 8:30, 6:30 to 8 o'clock at the Methodist Church. We like people, it says on the poster 18 and older, but if you're 15 or 16 and older, you're more than welcome to come. It's just a nice way to spend a summer evening is singing songs. We put on one program at the end of the summer. I think it's, I don't know the date, the 21st, August 21st at 3 o'clock at the Methodist Church. I think you'll enjoy it if you come out. I am very, very kind. Okay, that's important. Eli Field kicks off the annual RC Fest, the largest gather of radio-controlled cars, trucks, planes, helicopters, and drones ever seen in the Midwest. This event runs Friday, June 9th and Saturday, June 10th at Eli Field, north end of town, way north. Monticello Movie Night kicks off on Saturday, June the 19th with Minions. Thank you to Kester Homes for sponsoring this event. The Piatt County Museum will hold their annual meeting on Sunday, June 11th at 2 o'clock p.m. at Allerton Library. Dr. John Schmale will be presenting on regimental Civil War flags. The public is invited to attend. On Point, a ballet and dancewear supply business, will be having a ribbon cutting on Saturday, June 10th at 10:30 p.m. Please stop in and welcome Toby Martinez to the downtown. New business, resolution 2023-24, a resolution of the city of Monticello adopting civility pledge. Mr. Summers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Illinois Municipal League, or IML, sent this out a couple of weeks ago. IML is by far the foremost advocate for nearly 1,300 cities, villages, and towns throughout Illinois, and they asked for these cities, villages, and towns to entertain the idea of adopting a resolution of civility. And the pledge reads as follows: in the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. So if it is approved tonight, I think the clerk does have the signing sheet. If we have time after the meeting, if you would like to go ahead and sign that, if it is so approved this evening. You should have the pledge in your packets from last Wednesday. That's all I have.
Thank you. And now everyone understands that civility is learning how to work as a group and not try to upset anyone too. We want to do everything in a civilized fashion with proper respect for others. This is something that I really had to nag about when I first became mayor 7.5 years ago. We had a council that was not very well disciplined. They weren't very, very cooperative with each other. They were battling each other, and it was a miserable time. So I wore a gavel out. This is a newer gavel since that time, and I would really appreciate it if we would learn how to work together well with each other by signing our name to the sheet that Jill has that shows and says that we agree with that. So that's why I think it's important. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-24, resolution of the city of Monticello adopting civility pledge? Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Hearing or seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Vogt,
Yes.
Ms. Lively,
Yes.
Mr. Denise,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Broderick,
Correct.
Mr.
Yes.
Yes, and correct. Mr. Brock, and Mr. Piercy.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Resolution 2023-25, approving the preliminary plan for Sage Fields subdivision. Jim.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we're going to have 3 action items on this very subject, so we'll kind of just go by one at a time in the order that they have to be heard and approved and discussed. So Resolution 2023-25 is approving the preliminary plan for Sagefield subdivision. And this is located up there in the, I call it the Kirby compound, but off of Medical Center Drive, right next to what's Hollybrook. So you'll see it up there when they get going on it. Mr. Tenhouse is here from Kirby, and Varnum Group is here with Mr. Finland to answer any questions you might have about the preliminary plan or the following final plat that we're going to have here. In section, I'm not going to read the actual legal description, but Mr. Tenhouse is requesting the following waivers from the requirements of City of Monticello Code of Ordinance Manual Practice for the design of public improvements in the City of Monticello. A waiver for the requirement of public sidewalks be installed on just the west side of the proposed street, and a waiver to allow a 50-foot wide right-of-way rather than a 60-foot right-of-way. The developer must be in compliance with all the other requirements outlined in the manual practice. Required public notice went out. A public hearing was held at the Planning and Zoning Board when they met May 15th. There were no comments brought forward from the public, and the Planning and Zoning Board unanimously approved the motion. Attached is a copy of the Planning and Zoning Board motion that you should have in your packet, preliminary plan and a resolution for consideration of the above mentioned preliminary plan. It's recommended that the City Council discuss and approve preliminary plan of Sage Fields as submitted at this meeting.
Any questions of Jim or of Mr. Tenhouse?
I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
So what is the reasoning for only putting sidewalks on one side?
It's a good question. So out there, the Kirby has a wellness trail that goes throughout that whole master subdivision. And in this case, where the road's going to be, the wellness trail is already next to the road. So what we didn't want to have is wellness trail, sidewalk road. That would be overkill and a bit redundant in the traveled way. Thanks.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2023-25, approving the preliminary plan for Sage Field subdivision?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Last chance for questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Vogt?
Yes.
Ms. Lively? Mr. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Burris?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Correct.
Mr. Brock? And Mr. Piercy?
Yes.
I've done it.
Motion passes.
Doesn't bother me.
Correct? Yes.
That works for me.
Sorry.
I make a lot of mistakes. So it doesn't bother me. Moving on, ordinance 2023-26, an ordinance approving the final plat of Sage Fields subdivision, Piatt County, Illinois. Jim?
Now that you've correctly stated the preliminary plan is approved, we'll move on to actually creating the legal lots with the final plat. So ordinance 2023-26 is approving the final plat of Sage Fields subdivision, Piatt County, same place I just described earlier. So what this basically does, this creates the lots. And there's going to be 3 lots and then an outlot as described and shown on the final plat. Staff reviewed the final plat and all the associated documents. We find that the plat is substantially complies with the city ordinances and it requires city council approval by way of ordinance per section 152.044 part D. And the council has previously approved the preliminary plan and the waivers by way of resolution 2023-25 just moments ago. So it's recommended the city council discuss and approve the attached ordinance 2023-26, the final plat of Sage Field subdivision in Piatt County, Illinois, as submitted at today's meeting.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments for city staff? Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2023-26, an ordinance approving the final plat of Sage Fields subdivision, Piatt County, Illinois? See, I made a mistake earlier.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Hearing or seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Vogt?
Yes.
Ms. Lively? Yes. Mr. Denise?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Burris?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
And Mr. Piercy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Well, could we click over? Okay, so this is I'm sorry, did you call for me yet? Or-
Not yet.
Speaking out of turn.
That was yours for this year.
I'm sorry,
That was yours for this year, no more. Okay.
correct.
Resolution 2023-27, resolution for approval of conditional use daycare center, Sage Fields Lot 1, Monticello. Jim,
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'm in the correct order. Okay, so, yeah, sorry, we're gonna get a lot of mileage out of that. Okay, so now we've approved the preliminary plan, we've created the lots, and now part of our zoning regulations in this area, a daycare is allowed by way of passing a conditional use permit. So Mr. and Mrs. Magsman are here to, Mr. Tenhouse has applied for it. They're interested in purchasing the lot conditionally based on whether or not this gets approved. So I'm here to present the conditional use permit, and I'm going to put as soon as I read this, I'll put a little exhibit up there that'll show you what it looks like. So Mr. Tenhouse is here seeking conditional use permit for a daycare center under the Monticello zoning regulations 153.017 table I. It's on a parcel zoned IC, which is planned industrial and commercial. The daycare center and its maintenance operation will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare of the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties. The property must receive a conditional use permit per zoning regulations 153.017 table I and be able to be allowed to operate in this zone. The use is cohesive with the nature of the business park as it is now. A copy of the public notice on April 26, 2023 edition of the Pike County Journal Publican is there. Site, motion, and the conditional use are included in the packet. It's recommended the city council discuss and approve the conditional use for lot 1 of Sagefield subdivision, Pike County, Illinois, as submitted at today's meeting.
thank you. Are there any questions of Jim? Anyone?
Yeah, as I'm looking at it, first off, it looks really cool.
Mhm.
And I like the circle drive is really smart as a bus driver. Now I'm looking at it and I'm wondering about that 50-foot road instead of a 60-foot road. Is that what's right there in front of that?
It won't affect the traveled way though. That right of way is what is usually the road and then the shoulders where we put utilities.
Yeah, okay.
Most of the utilities exist there already and are already in easements. So no, it won't impact the operation of a commercial vehicle in there. Yeah, it's a good question.
The pavement width meets the design standards of, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Anyone else? Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-27, resolution for approval? And is there a second? Second. Any comments or questions before we vote? Hearing or seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Vogt,
Yes.
Ms. Lively, Mr. Denise,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Burris,
Yes.
Mr. Broderick,
Yes.
Mr. Brock,
Yes.
Mr. Piercy.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution 2023-28, a resolution approving a contract for State Street resurfacing. I think it's Terry. Bless you.
Thank you.
There must be something allergic in this room.
Somebody.
Oh, something, I'm sorry. Civility.
He isn't signed yet.
Oh, yes, it's good to see you, Neil.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. The State Street resurfacing, this project was presented and approved to the city council for inclusion in the FY 2023 general fund budget. This was discussed and approved by council back in late 2022. The bid tab was provided to you Wednesday showing the low bid, all three bidders, including the low bid plus the average, high and low unit prices. I believe there was 715,000 in the FY 2023 general fund budget for this project. So this awards the project to Dunn Company, and then there is monies to go towards the construction engineering that's required to do a project like this. So we'll be paying ESCA Consultants, the engineering, to oversee the project and so on and so forth. There is a construction completion date in mid-August of this year. We will know more about the construction schedule once the contract's completed and we get all the insurance and everything back from Dunn Company. That'll kind of solidify when they would be moving into and occupying State Street. So the sooner, the better for them to make that completion deadline of mid-August. Every attempt will be made to have access provided to the parcels, lots, blocks along State Street from Livingston Street all the way to Lone Beach Road. There will be interruptions to your daily traffic. If you can avoid State Street, please avoid State Street. And then when they do, they're going to be doing some work on the box culvert that drains the drainage ditch behind Kirby, the old Kirby Hospital. During that piece of it, and I think that's where they're going to start for a couple of weeks, traffic will be narrowed down to one lane for about 2 weeks. So it is recommended the City Council discuss Resolution 2023-28 this evening and approve it and award the contract to Dunn Company.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2023-28, a resolution approving a contract for State Street resurfacing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Let's vote.
No, I'm sorry. I need to have discussion. I'm sorry. That's two tonight, Eric. Any comments or questions before we proceed? This has been a hot item a year or so I think everyone.
And I would add, as a cost saving measure, but as really nice looking curb and gutter, our highly skilled public works guys are
They look, all the guy was down there looking.
gutter around the radii of these side streets. They do a wonderful job pouring and forming and finishing concrete. So that's, everything will look very nice and our guys are doing a great job so far.
Where was I?
Are you ready for me to call the roll?
Is there no more comments or questions? Can I have a roll call, please?
Mhm. Ms. Vogt,
Yes.
Ms. Lively,
Yes.
Mr. Denise,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Burris,
Yes.
Mr. Broderick,
Yes.
Mr. Brock,
Yes.
Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to ordinance 2012-42, an ordinance amending Chapter 10 of Title 1 and Chapter 90 of Title 9 of the Municipal Code of the City of Monticello for discussion only. This is for discussion only under new business. This is about the chickens. Okay? And who am I supposed to look to on this one?
I will start, Mayor Stoner, and kind of swat it back to the city council. So ordinance 2012-42, which was approved obviously in 2012, is what is on the docket tonight for discussion. If this council wants to amend or change policies, that is definitely falls under your control. Staff, city administration, we don't create policies. Law enforcement enforces, we enforce policies. So there was some indication from 2 or 3 council members that they would like to discuss this. So we'll probably, I would assume, have more than one discussion on this topic, but it may be resolved tonight. I don't know. So that's all I have.
Anyone have a comment or question they'd like to ask or have a view? Yes, Tom?
I see the ordinance was in 2012 and I wasn't on the council at that time, but I know we discussed it sometime in between this 10 or 11-year period, it was brought up again one other time. Terry, do you remember that? I remember the big discussion about it once before. You said this ordinance was 2012. That really surprised me, unless I'm thinking.
That was the last time that it was brought to the council.
I
In
don't remember it.
2012. I was involved in it. That's why.
I thought the same thing, Tom. It's been 11 years and none of our current council members were part of the discussion.
I could search records and see if it was on the agenda for discussion in that intro, in the,
Swear it was brought up.
yeah, I mean, obviously I can't do it right now, but if you need me to, I can.
I was just getting at I thought something had been done in that period and what was the reasoning then.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Anyone have strong feelings one way or the other?
I think given that we are close to all these people on your lovely little report, I think we should go with what our neighboring community should do.
So you're talking, what is it, 20 feet most places or 30?
House 10 foot from the lot line.
Yeah, 150 seems like
That's a lot. I agree with you. It's rather
I don't know where they got that
extreme.
number. That seems.
It was extreme. It met the issue. There was an issue at the time that.
And given the
That's what it
number
addressed.
and everything, they're the same in every district. Mahomet, Mansfield, Champaign, Bemet,
It's okay.
Bemet and Monticello. I mean, they're all just the 6. So I mean, minus Mansfield. But I think we should agree with our neighbors. Personal opinion.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's what we want is thoughts, random thoughts. It's okay. Anyone else want to comment? I will say up front what I'm most concerned about myself. I don't care if people have chickens or not. What I do care about is whether they are good servants of the community and keep the stuff the way it's supposed to be done. I know there are stipulations, am I right? There's stipulations in what we have now that they have to come in once a year and see the clerk about, it's like a permit to have it. There's no charge or anything for it. And I also think that the coop has to be, somebody has to go look at it and make sure it's in compliance. So I do know that's in there, but is that enough? I grew up next to a grocery store. I grew up in a city, so I grew up next to a neighborhood grocery store, and we had chickens everywhere. They were where they were supposed to be and where they weren't supposed to be. And they weren't bad neighbors. They really weren't. But they made a real good effort to make sure that everything was the way it should be. So, and I'm not supposed to opine from the chair, but I just did. Sorry. Anyone else have something to say? Thomas?
Good right now.
Kelly, you got anything to add?
I think a lot of the concerns that people might have about chickens can be handled with our animal ordinance, similar to if you have a dog barking all night. With all due respect, hens do scream when they lay eggs. Years, but it's just a short window. So, I think if there were any issues with noise or debris, because we have some dog owners that don't clean up after that. So that can all be handled. We have the ordinances in place. The other thing we might want to consider is tightening up the enclosure because we're a little loose with the definition right now. Some of the other communities I spoke with recommended that as well. Having something specifically saying that there is a top on them, chickens can jump, so much fly, but they can get out. So they recommended that they have a roof on there, so there's no opportunity for them to jump out and then you're chasing. If you've ever tried to chase a chicken, no matter how tame they are, if they don't want to,
they do run fast. Huh?
So something like that. I agree. I think our current ordinance is restrictive for those that would allow it, and I think we already have the ordinances in place to address if it were to become a nuisance to the neighbors. I think that we just caution anyone who wants to get chickens, just like with any other animal, you do need to know what you're getting into. It's not all fluffy feathers and fun all the time. So, and you think you're getting a hen, it might be a rooster. So we always warn people, and I say we being the farming community, we always warn people to, make sure you have a strategy when that hen starts crowing. So make sure you can figure that part out too, so.
Any more questions?
I'm assuming the only reason that they're inspected is if there's a complaint. As I read through it, there's a regular inspection that's supposed to happen. And I don't see anything in the,
Yeah, so I'm not aware of that. To my knowledge, when this was enacted, we had nobody that had chickens legally already.
then I would assume that somebody would complain about the smell or the noise and.
Right, yeah. And like I said, it would just funnel straight through the nuisance ordinance to the police. Sorry, chief.
Can I ask a question? I've heard that we have people who are not in compliance that do have chickens now. Do we know how many instances of that we have in the community? Do we have any clue?
I think to my knowledge, when it's called out to us, the police usually handle it. And most of the time, the resident had no idea. So they just assumed that it was okay.
I know there was a rooster up on Grant Street that caused great consternation.
There's been a couple instances.
Yeah, so, I mean, we have had some issues in the past, but I'd really like it if you were having chickens for it to be legal. And I have no objection to that, but I think we need to update.
So Mayor, could I add one thing for discussion? So this deals with not only hens, it's fowls. So you can have up to 6 fowls total. So that includes hens, ducks, pigeons, geese, and other domestic fowl that would be allowed. As currently written, if you want to adjust the setback.
Our geese and ducks and what else did you say? Turkeys?
There'd be other fowls.
Pigeons, ducks, geese.
A lot of people, I wouldn't want a geese in my yard, but maybe other people would. Do we have an issue with that?
Rooster house was also ducks. If I remember.
I think the question is, do you want to open the door for it to become an issue? It's whatever you guys want to do. Or do you want to say, we're just allowing hens, period? I'm just playing devil's advocate.
He doesn't need one.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said he doesn't need one. Never mind.
I get it. I got it. I'm old, but I'm sharp. What do you think about having anything other than chickens? I think chickens is okay.
Yes, that's something I'd be curious about, with our neighboring communities. Does their ordinance specify chickens only, or does it allow for the other fowl?
You guys know off the top of your head?
Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought Monticello's chicken ordinance did already specify only hens. I thought it was in the policies or the ordinance that no fowl were allowed other than hens.
It does. However, I think under that same definition, it's also including female ducks, female pigeons, female.
I mean, I didn't look into that too much because I just care about chickens.
Of all the options are the best ones, let me tell you.
So I don't know. I could speak on that.
I can look that up.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I did a few, I searched a couple of the surrounding areas after Allison called me. BMET and Champaign specifically call out chickens only. They make a distinction between all their fowl, and they say chickens only. So, and they exclude the rest. And I didn't research all communities, I just researched a handful of houses and I talked about on the phone.
In section C.
Yeah, it says,
It specifically says, all hereby declared to be a nuisance for any person to keep on any premises owned, occupied, or controlled by him or her in the city, any pigeons, geese, or any domesticated fowl. Then the stipulations are the distance and no more than 6 and that sort of thing. So ducks, pigeons, and everything else looks like it's in there. It's sort of been allowed. So that would be another thing if we're going to change it, then we have to change that too. But
Right.
So maybe all this only goes back to is changing the feet, 150 feet. That's
I don't just,
I would also want to limit it to chickens only and not allow the other.
I agree.
fowls.
Is there,
well, we should ask the question then publicly, are there ducks and geese that people are keeping in town?
There have
If we can't change it, or we don't have to grandfather it in, we can't just up and change it, people gotta get rid of their
Not,
livestock.
not legally.
That was a great question. Yeah.
well, if they don't meet the guidelines of 150 feet and blah, 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 they're illegal anyway.
Right?
So
But which, if
kind of a-
by that, then I don't know, I mean, I don't know of anybody who's got room to have it 20 foot from their house, or 20 foot from the property line and 150 foot from their house.
No.
Right. Nobody in town.
Dillard Jim.
By that right, there's probably all questionable, if not wrong, so we got some stuff to take care of.
Right.
Dillard Jim, do you have anyone registered right now that has chickens? No. So I don't think it's an issue because they're technically not legal right now as it is.
Oh.
My suggestion would be do your chickens and then we can take care, I mean, just like we do dogs or anything else. You know, if we have a problem with the dog, we knock on the door, say, hey, your dog's yapping at 2 in the morning, knock it off. Or, you know, if we start having chickens screeching at whatever, we'll go take care of it. I mean, reason, we'll take care of the problem people. I don't know if I want to throw a blanket over everybody and say, no, all chicken owners are horrible people. I say we go after the problems, like we do, you know, ordinance.
Like everything else, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Atwood, we just did this maybe a year ago, and we had people that were anti-chicken. I don't think they would have bought a chicken nugget at McDonald's if you paid. And then what happened 2 months later? A woman got about 10 acres outside of town and put so many chickens out there, it's not even funny. Nothing one they could do about it. I'd say let them,
According to that.
and this is just from the police department standpoint, let them do it, and then if we have problems, we'll take care of the problems.
You got enough officers?
And we can always use more.
I figured you might be able to. Any volunteers?
So in the ordinance, it does specify hens, ducks, pigeons, geese, or other domestic fowl, unless, and then it goes through the list of not exceeding 6. So that would probably have to be changed as well.
Right. It's going to have to be redrawn. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
Like from scratch almost. Are we in favor of, I mean, we can't vote on anything, but is the consensus that we need to just,
I think it should be redrawn. Yeah.
chickens only?
Make it chickens only. And I'd like to put a statement in there that the owners are subject to periodic inspection, only from the standpoint that that kind of pushes them towards compliance.
Mhm.
There's always a chance that you could get inspected, so keep it clean, keep it neat, keep things picked up, and you won't have any problem. But I think it should be a statement that you are subject to periodic inspection.
So do we have to put in a poultry inspector, or is that something?
No, animal control will take care of that.
Not serious?
Rob Ross will be inspecting.
I think they have an illegal search issue there.
But also the recommendations that were made to Callie Joe about just tightening up the requirements of the structure as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I can't see would people just put a fence around there and expect those chickens to stay in the fence?
Well, yes.
You're right, Kelly Joe. I'll give you that one. You're right.
You are right.
Yeah, put that in the minutes, Jill.
That in the minutes, Joe.
I have all sorts of things to put in there.
I'll bet you do. So is a consensus that we want to proceed with this and they can bring something, but can you bring it back to the next meeting?
Yeah, we can look at all these 2 or 3 or 4 things and maybe run it by Anthony, make sure everything's kosher and bring it back to this council.
Would it be okay to run it by someone who's interested in having chickens, just to See if it fits the drift.
Yeah, we can reach out to those that we.
Somebody right there.
Do something.
I think she has an understanding of what we're talking about, so.
You'd be willing to look at it?
I would love that. Yeah, that'd be
Very
great.
good.
Does that bother you, Terry? Does that bother you? He did this first, it kind of scared me.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
I want the young lady to be included also.
You should do, now that's good, you could come and help.
Thank you.
That's right. So we're good on this?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. Pepsin Hill update discussion only. Callie?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I never formally got the opportunity to introduce myself to the couple that I don't know. My name is Callie McFarland. I'm the Director of Community Development for the City of Monticello. I'm on my 20th year here, and I'm an urban planner by profession. So redevelopment, chicken ordinances, all that kind of falls under my professional hat. But I know a lot of people are wondering what's going on with Pepsin Hill, and I know several of you may not necessarily be aware of the history behind it. And I'm not talking like history books worth of history, but just how we got to where we're at. So many of you might remember, if you are from here, we had about 3 blocks to the west, we had this Pepsin Hill pharmaceutical manufacturer that had just gone into disrepair since Sterling Drug vacated it and there were numerous attempts to try and rehabilitate, restore, redevelop. Lots of great ideas. And again, we're talking in 2004, 2005, we really started to move forward with this. But at the end of the day, if we don't have the funds to do it or it's not feasible, then, we can just watch it fall down, or the city was proactive at that point and stepped in. So the process actually started in 2003, but that process, that building and the site to the north, which you can not really see there, was a feed mill property. And so that's that whole area is what we refer to as the Pepsin Hill neighborhood. Both were pretty contaminated sites. They had buried oil tanks and all sorts of asbestos and lead paint and all the good stuff that you really just want in your soil. So it took quite a bit of work from the city's part. We received one of the first IEPA grants. It was a stipulated loan actually to help remedy and remediate the site. But I thought he was going to be over here so I could see what he was pulling up. So when we refer to, just for point of clarification, when we refer to our downtown, it's not just the 9 blocks surrounding and including the square. It's actually quite a bit that you see here in pink. And then the blue areas, those 3 parcels are actually Pepsin Hill, that neighborhood. So the rectangular parcel is the Pepsin property itself. The kind of trapezoidal, I guess, property to the north is where the Reeder Feed Mill property was. And then that tiny little sliver just to the north of that triangular portion, that is, for lack of a better term, we've always called it tract 8. They've all gone through some substantial remediation, again, starting in 2003. And then in 2019, we finally got that final no further remediation letter from IEPA. The direction of the council at the time for that entire site was wait until we get the all clear from IEPA for that little sliver of tract 8. So we have a whole developable site. Didn't make sense to do anything with the other 2 sites if IEPA made us go further than the boundaries of tract 8. So that's where we were at. So the whole point of you guys having to listen to me today is we just wanted to, again, bring you up to speed with what's going on with that area. And then make sure that you are on board with and kind of in a unified direction with where we're heading for that site. Again, it is 3 parcels. It's about 2¼ acres. There's a nice, beautiful picture of the old factory before it was torn down. But it is in downtown. It is our only expandable area that we have in downtown. That's a pretty rare opportunity. It's the only really substantial building loss we've had in our downtown in the last many, many decades. So, it's an opportunity. And yes, it was an industrial site in the past. However, we have a new ice cream shop. We have the putt-putt golf. We have, several other things that are west across Market Street. We have the crossing now telling people to go across Market Street. So it really just lends itself to the opportunity to develop, to pull people from there. So we have the sites, obviously, they're clean. We have the letter and seal of approval from IEPA. When we received that stipulated loan that I discussed here a little bit ago, IEPA said, you won't have to pay us back as long as you put something there that creates jobs, sales tax, and property tax. So that has always been the direction of the city council. I know some people wanted the library to go there or not move at all. We won't bring that up, but the library would have been great as in the downtown still, but it wouldn't create any new jobs. They don't pay property tax or pay sales tax. So the city was willing to work with them at that point. However, it didn't meet the goals that we were held to, adhere to. And at the end of the day, they found another option, and that's fine. So the other thing kind of had to abide by was IEPA would never tell us what they considered a bona fide project. Just come up with something and show us what it is, and we'll tell you if you have to repay us. So we've also been kind of shy about presenting something to go there as well. But that being said, fast forward to 2019. Again, we got that final no further remediation letter from IEPA saying the sites are good, you can do what you need to do. They've also forgiven the stipulated loan at this point, so we don't have to pay anything back. But we, staff and the council at the time, still felt that we need to follow the intent of the loan and the grant program. We want something that's going to create jobs, sales tax, property tax. We want something that is going to lend itself to downtown and be a contributor to downtown, not something that's just going to be an isolated area. So again, we're still in 2019 in my little timeline here. We created a request for proposals and published it. We received a development proposal that would have been for a number of townhomes and commercial spaces. We were very excited about that. Unfortunately, this is right when COVID hit. Unfortunately, the developer at the time decided to pull out, which is fine. And so we thought again in 2021, we'd take another run at it. We also had all the COVID issues to deal with then. Nobody was looking for work because they were all buried under it. Interest rates were crazy. Supply chain was insane. So, we had those hurdles to go against as well. So we didn't get any responses from that particular one. In our past strategic and comprehensive plans, which are, like Dirk said at the last meeting, are what guide you. We're getting ready to show you the draft of the updated one. It's always been the understanding and desire of the community to put something there that is going to benefit downtown. We need people in downtown. We need people to live there, work there, play there. We need them there. And putting something that is of the mixed use development type thing, whether it's for new business or residential, will put more bodies in downtown. So following along those goals identified, our recommendation is that we continue down that path and see what we can get a little more aggressively now that I hear interest rates are going to be, is that true? Are going to be less in 24 maybe. But like I said, we just wanted to put it before you, kind of bring you up to speed where we're at and see if there's any reason to change that direction.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Given that would be an amazing smart development, because where it's going to go, someone that will drag people, if you want to say, from downtown, given that they're rebuilding Washington right now, right? That will drag people that way, also to the pool, also to that walking trail.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the best idea, honestly, personal opinion.
And thank you for reminding me of something I forgot. Jim, pull up that development. This is the initial development, but that's another thing. That's a huge issue. I can't believe I forgot. So again, this is the Pepsin site. You see this rectangular, scroll down for me, please. There you go. See where that road kind of curves out. If you've gone down Park Street and under the bridge there, you know what a fun little blind corner that is. And especially during pool season when we have walkers and bikers and everybody and kids just love walking down right in the middle of the road. This would also address that. We had plans to kind of widen the curve, so to speak, so it increases the line of visibility. That was actually part of this development, it was worked around that particular road realignment. So that's something that I think is still a big need in our instance. It addresses a major safety concern in getting people under there and the connectivity, like you mentioned.
It would be amazing if we can get it done. Perfect.
Anyone else?
What's the, as I recall, we had a company that shall not be named that caused a stink last time for fear of safety for people living there. Do we expect that again? Is there a way we can?
So Terry and I had a very in-depth conversation with every single concern with this particular representative of the company. And I feel confident that we addressed everyone because I think the concerns that were brought up are just a cost of doing business. There were some measures that could be made on their end and possibly on ours that might alleviate some of those concerns. So, yeah.
Fine job, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
Is there going to be another RFP at some point?
I think the approach we might take at this stage is put some feelers out first and see what the interest levels are. I probably, because everyone is so heavy into projects still this year, I wouldn't anticipate anything until fall or winter just to publish it. We have had some inquiries about the residential component because, again, we desperately need, despite what people might see, we have a housing study that I'll be showing you here in the next couple of months that illustrates this as well. We need housing of all levels. We need apartment stock that's newer than 40 years old. We have such a need for it. And even our employers are saying, that's the biggest deterrent right now is we have no housing for people to live. And when they're having to commute, they might as well just live in Champaign, but people do want to live here. So I think that I don't necessarily anticipate a project looking like this, but I think still of the mixed use component with that residential commercial mix. The other thing we have a high demand for is ADA commercial space, which I love our downtown more than anything, but historic downtowns are very hard to adapt to. So this is an opportunity for us to, again, have some commercial opportunities in downtown.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you for bringing us up to date, Callie Jo. If you have anything real cool coming up, let's figure that out. Moving on, Alderman's reports. I'll start with Eric. Nothing. Wendell?
Only to commend the street guys for their efforts on State Street already. Take a run up and down through. They're doing a nice job on the gutters. Most of that work is on the west side of the street because most of the east side sidewalk intersections are ADA compliant. There's only a couple of those that are going to have to be redone, but the west side was not compliant virtually all the way up. So they got some work to do. It's their big jobs, but from what I've seen, the floors look good and stuff looks good. So move forward. I want to get State Street redone. That's all I got.
Tom?
I'm good, thank you.
Rodney?
I'm good for that.
Mary? Nothing? Holy mackerel. Tom?
Nothing.
John?
Just want to offer that I might have a family member or two that said, hey, go to city council and tell them to fix State Street. So it was kind of funny.
See, it's already done.
Look at you.
You're amazing.
I was looking at Mary.
That's something I heard every time when I told someone I was on city council, when I gotta fix State Street. So
Yeah, I know.
hey, we can all just take credit for it. Oh,
That's right. One meeting and it's done.
we took care of that.
Great. Police chief's report. Rob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Don.
We did have our testing last Saturday. We had 3 applicants. The mayor will conduct interviews in the next couple of weeks. We'll hopefully get a list shortly thereafter. We do have some positions for the next academy classes starting in September. With December 22nd graduation. On top of that, we did do our ALICE training over at Mental Health. They asked us to come out and conduct that. We will do the exercise portion of that here later this summer or early fall, right about when school probably starts. On top of that, the Center Developmental Services Group this Friday is having a fun day at the park. We are participating in that. They have a touch a truck for their clients. So we'll take a squad car out there. They have a fire truck, ambulance, let them go through that. Nice way to get out in the community. We are updating our firing range. 'Tis the season, it's getting nice. We had some qualifications out there. I wanted to thank again Public Works because they went out there, helped us clean it out, get a lot of old stuff out there. I think this week they put an air conditioner in that we've had sitting on the floor for about a year or two. I think it's as long as it's been out there. And then we're going to get some time put up around there to stop people from just wandering around firing out. After that, last week of school, we have roughly the rest of this week and I think an hour or two on Tuesday. I know there's a lot of people looking forward to the end of school, ready to hit it again next August. And then we do have a meeting later, hopefully this week, for the July 3rd fireworks, getting everyone together, getting all that sorted out.
Okay, any questions of the chief? Thanks. City administrators report, Terry?
I have nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
You're really slacking on your, you know.
I think
Oh,
he's
maybe
doing
you're doing
well.
exceptionally well. One or the other.
Let you decide.
Anything else? Good of the cause? I had something and I forgot. Oh, maybe I'll remember next time. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Any, all in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? See you on the 12th.